Do you want your game from looking like this to looking like this? If so, watch this video. I'll show you the best settings for performance, visibility, and the overall visuals of the game to make it look nice. Let's not waste any time and get straight into it. In the PostFX settings, you want to have the brightness on 0, as we make the game brighter later on in the video in the control panel settings. The reason you don't want to have it on 100 is because it makes flashlights on guns too bright and blinding, so just leave it on 0. Moving on to the saturation setting, I like to have it between 45 and 50. If you have it maxed out, it makes the game look like Fortnite and very migraine inducing. And too low, it makes the game look dull and boring, so I just put it between 45 and 50, so I think this is the sweet spot. Moving on to the clarity setting, I like to have this on about 50 to 60 as it makes the game look a lot better, but putting it too high in my opinion makes things look a bit too dark. However, this setting is very preference based and it's your personal preference. With the colourfulness setting, I keep it at 50 because I like to change my colourfulness in Nvidia Control panel. And I find that the Tarkov colourfulness setting makes the game look too much like Fortnite again. It's too colourful in my opinion. So just keep it at 50 and we'll change it in Nvidia Control panel later. With Luma Sharpen and Active Sharpen, I just keep it at 0 because it tanks FPS. It makes the game look a lot better to be fair, but if you got a good computer, go ahead, raise it, but for me, I just keep it at 0. With the colour grading setting, I use Chill Wave at a 10 intensity because it adds a little hue of blue which I find helps me see a lot better. However, I think that the colour grading doesn't matter too much because most of them look like Instagram filters anyway. Moving on to the colorblind mode, I use Tritanopia, whatever that is, Tritanopia, an intensity of 30 because it adds a little purpley tint to all the blues. And it also makes the greens greener, so the trees won't look as yellow and the floor won't look as yellow. And I think in my opinion this looks much better. It also makes the sky more vibrant and not as grey, so I highly recommend turning the setting on. Moving on to Nvidia Control panel settings, you just want to come under display and click on adjust color desktop settings. With the control panel settings, you just want to copy what I have here because I can't actually show you what it looks like because they're monitor settings and not Tarkov settings, so the recording doesn't pick it up. But you just want to put your gamma at 1.5. This will make it so much easier to see people in darker areas like dorms and stuff. And you want to turn the digital vibrance up to 90%. This will make all the colours in the game pop a lot more, and it won't make it look like Fortnite. It's because we didn't change the setting earlier in Tarkov to make the game look more colourful, so it'll look better. And you don't want to mess with the brightness or contrast, as this will make the game look too flashy or too dark. And with the hue, just don't worry about that, it just makes your game look really colourful and stupid. Moving on to the graphics settings, you just want to have your screen resolution on the native thing to your monitor, and then you want to have your screen mode on full screen obviously for the best FPS. And then with the aspect ratio, I play on 5x4 which is stretched res, but you can play on your native which would be 16:9 if you have the same aspect ratio. I play on stretched because it gives you better frames and it makes enemies bigger. And also my computer can't really handle bigger maps like streets and lighthouse. However, this is very preference based and it's really up to you, whatever you want to do. Moving on to the main settings now. I have texture quality on medium and shadows quality on low. This helps with FPS, and if you have a really bad computer, I recommend turning texture quality onto low. With LOD quality and overall visibility, have LOD quality on 2, as it doesn't really do much, it just makes your game more framey. Overall visibility, I recommend putting on 1000 because there's literally no FPS difference between 400 and 1000, and it gets rid of pop-up effect on mountains and stuff like that. With anti-aliasing settings, I use TAA as it makes the edges of things like this tower here. As you can see, my setting is off and it's really buggy and in and out and it just looks bad. The TAA makes it really smooth and not as disgusting looking. It does tank a bit of FPS, but I think it's worth it for the visual look. All the rest of my settings, I just have them on low or off, or just anything is off. So the lowest setting, except from resampling, you want it on 1x off, which just means it doesn't do anything. And with Nvidia Reflex Low Latency, I put this on plus boost as it allows your graphics card to focus mainly on Tarkov when it's running. And this gives you more FPS and better performance overall. With sharpness I have it on 0 because it can tank FPS, but you can put it a bit higher, but don't put anything over 1.0 as this will make your game really framey. But if you like your game looking nice, I recommend turning this up a bit. I just have it on 0 for the best performance. And for all the tick boxes at the bottom, I would recommend turning them all off unless you want your game to look really nice and you have a good computer, because if you turn these on, it can make the performance of your game really bad and really framey. But it does make the game look a lot nicer. And if you are very worried about performance, I recommend turning on MIP streaming. This will just make textures float in and out when you get closer and further away, and it will make the overall performance of your computer much better. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful in any way, please consider subscribing and liking the video, as this took me a long time to make and it really does help me out a lot.